What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast and I'm finally back with another video. I know it's been nearly 2 weeks since my last video, which I think is probably the longest break I've ever taken from uploading videos. Obviously I have still been streaming a fair bit recently, so it's not been a complete hiatus from YouTube, but I know a lot of you don't watch my streams, so you've probably been wondering where I've been. Now I'll be honest, I've been experiencing extreme burnout from Pokemon Go, from GBL, from making videos over the past few seasons really, but especially this season as the Go Battle League feels pretty much identical to what it has done over the past few seasons, and outside of maybe Parabolic Charge, there have been no real substantial nerfs, meaning all of the top meta Pokemon over the past few seasons have remained at the very top, and the game feels unbelievably repetitive. It hasn't helped that we've seen basically the same limited metas recycled for literally years upon years, with really the only new thing to look forward to being the World Championship Series Cup towards the end of this season. Now, if you are a regular viewer of the channel, you guys will probably know I run as much variety as is physically possible in the Go Battle League, but it doesn't really matter how creative and unique I get with the teams that I build, or how frequently I run new teams or build new Pokemon. I'm basically facing the same few Pokemon in every single game, and it's just so boring at this point. Now, we are in an interlude season, so as you'd expect, it is harder to maintain interest in the Go Battle League when there really isn't an end goal. There's nothing to aim for since there are no ranks, but since there are no ranks, you'd have probably thought that people would be encouraged to experiment more with the types of teams that they run, since losing Elo doesn't really matter this season, but that has not been the case at all. Now, one of the most frustrating things about this interlude season is that, as far as I'm aware, I don't think we actually know why we're in an interlude season. Last time Niantic was very clear in outlining what they wanted to achieve during the interlude season, fixing multiple long-standing bugs and inconsistencies, especially to do with fast moves, but this season they've said nothing. I think a lot of people do assume that they'll just be trying to work on bug fixes and whatnot, but we've had basically no communication. Now, another thing I've personally really struggled with over the past few seasons is that I don't really enjoy watching any other PvP content creators anymore. These days, I feel like I'm only clicking on videos so I know what team I can expect to face like 5 times the following day, as everybody just hops on that latest leaderboard Elo team put out by Homesize Henry or It's Axon or Yonkers. Now, this is not me slating those content creators, but it's kind of just the YouTube game at the moment. They put out a top team, and then basically just everyone and their mums runs it the following day. I very rarely find myself clicking on a video because I'm actually excited to see how a certain Pokemon performs, because either it's something that I've literally never seen in the Go Battle League before, or it's something I know is really hard to run, but I know it's going to provide some really entertaining gameplay. I think Jamie Finn was probably the only channel that I've enjoyed watching recently, and I'm sure you guys know, he's basically just announced his retirement from making GBL content on YouTube. So yeah, anyways, those are some of the reasons as to why I've not been uploading videos recently. I don't know if I'll be going back to uploading pretty much daily again, or if there will still be longer gaps between videos. I guess we'll just have to see how it goes really. But anyways, back to this video, we've got Isaac Is Cool, who sent in some really cool battles, as his name suggests, in the Master Premier Cup, featuring a Shundo Volcarona, which off the top of my head is probably the rarest Shundo in the game that isn't also a shadow Pokemon or some sort of really limited costume Pokemon, so I'm really excited to see how these battles pan out. Anyways, with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. What kind of content do you want to see from me over the remainder of this season? I feel like I'm really lacking inspiration right now, and a lot of the really creative videos that I've put out that I've been really proud of actually have been some of the worst performing videos, not only of just this season, but actually across the entire lifetime of my channel. So I want to put out new videos with new ideas, creative teams that I'm proud of, but also resonate with my viewers, and I haven't really been able to do that this season. So let me know if you have any ideas, if you've got any creative themes, or I don't know, literally anything, just please let me know in the comment section down below. And with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so go into the first battle, leading Golisopod into Gyarados. This is actually not a very good matchup for us at all, and we can't afford to swap out because we've got Volcarona in the back, which is going to struggle even more so. So kind of just forced to stay in here, going to play out the zero shield scenario most likely, just, you know, chip as much as we can there before coming in with our Magnezone. Now do note, I've got a Shadow Magnezone in the graphic. It is a non-shadow in these battles. Turns out I haven't made a non-shadow Magnezone graphic yet, and I'll be honest, I just couldn't really be bothered for this video. So we've got the shadow in the graphic. It doesn't really matter too much. I'm sure none of you are going to complain anyways. And likewise, I don't have a shiny Volcarona, so that is also non-shiny in the graphic. Either way, more commentary on the battles. They come in with Rhyperior, but we have Flash Cannon, and Flash Cannon connects. It does huge damage, and we needed that, because now we can come in with Volcarona. The opponent get a bait with a Breaking Swipe there, of course. We have had to respect it as Rock Wrecker is double super effective. But we've got a lifeline here as the opponent comes in with a Metagross. Now, unfortunately, Overheat is going to debuff our attack stat 2 more stages, meaning it's going to be quite a struggle to take out this Metagross here as they do have 2 shields. They've just used both of them, but we make an incredible perfect catch there onto Magnezone, catching a Meteor Mash. I guess we didn't really need the catch because, of course, we do still have a shield anyways, but the opponent committing to the Bullet Punch farm down. They don't get there. Overheat gets the KO, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, Magnezone in the lead, so not a great matchup for us at all. We're actually going to say swap into Volcarona. Now, for these first few battles, we are actually running Solar Beam, but I think for the second set, this trainer does switch it over to Bug Buzz. Anyways, we're going to no shield, probably not expecting a Psy Shock there. I believe in this meta, Dazzling Gleam is recommended, but either way, doesn't really matter. We do grab a shield advantage. Obviously, Magnezone is going to be better, but we are expecting Aura Sphere, in which case, that would hit for super effective damage. We probably just come in with Galissapod, sponge the damage from 2 charge moves, wait for them to use all of their energy, and then come in with our Magnezone, and we're doing exactly that. Now the opponent comes in with their own Magnezone, and we are going to look to overfarm. Now we don't need to shield this, we do resist everything, and the opponent baits with a Mirror Shot, which is double resisted, and also a really bad charge move, so that does no damage, but Wild Charge barely does not get the KO here, and since they might be going for Wild Charge, we are going to shield anyways. Unfortunately, it is just another Mirror Shot bait, but they come back in with the Togekiss. So at this point, they might be really weak to the Magnezone, or maybe they just want to use some of our energy, but no, never mind. They end up shielding. We swap out, and we actually go for a CMP tie sack swap where we lose CMP, but we recognize that was going to be an Aura Sphere, so we get the KO with the Aqua Jet, and saving Magnezone was the right play as they've got Gyarados in the back. Wild Charge, double super effective, easily gets the one shot there, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, much better lead matchup for us, and they are going to be on Mudslap. I was about to say, great matchup for us, and then if we randomly see they're on Smackdown as the fast move, that wouldn't have been the case. But anyways, we are going to see a Dragonite coming in, going for a Dragon Claw bait there, maybe not wanting to debuff themselves with a superpower straight away, but we call the bait. We full send Flash Cannon, looking to also not debuff ourselves, but unfortunately it doesn't quite get the KO. But it turns out they don't have superpower anyways, as they go for a Thunder Punch. We can come back in with Galissapod, unfortunately overfarming just slightly too much there, throwing on CMP, which we end up losing, but they do full send the Rock Wrecker this time around, which is much better for us as they don't debuff our attack stat. They're going to say swap into Metagross, but that's absolutely fine with us. These fire spins are actually chunking. Unfortunately, Volcarona kind of would prefer to see a move like Incinerate or Ember or anything basically other than Fire Spin. But at this point, actually, you know what? We're not even going to bother shielding. We realize Galissapod going to have a great matchup into Rhyperior, especially if we go for the full farm down, coming up with back-to-back Aqua Jets. There is nothing Rhyperior can do. They no shield the first one. They do actually tank it, which is quite surprising, but we Fury Cutter, farm them down to take that game. Into the next battle, you're going to see Skeledirge in the lead. Bit tricky for us just because Fury Cutters are going to be double resisted, but this is definitely still our best matchup here as we can go for super effective Aqua Jets. First one is going to be shielded. We then swap, we make a really nice catch onto Volcarona. However, I don't know if we really benefit from that because, I mean, what are we supposed to do here? Do we just no shield, just fully sacrifice it? I guess so. They full send Blast Burn. We do just fully sacrifice it there. Didn't really understand that play, especially since now we are still Switch Locked. They come in with Gyarados. Yeah, not really sure about that play, but either way, we are going to shield this. We were hoping that our Switch Lock would come up in time, but it looks like it just barely wouldn't quite. So we do chip with the Aqua Tail. Now we can come in with the Magnezone and then commit to a full Volt Switch farm down. They reach one Aqua Tail there, but we can go for the farm down, and let's see, the opponent's going to come back in with the Skeledirge, but we can now go straight for Wild Charge. Wild Charge, not respected, it does huge damage, and the opponent swaps into Garchomp, but again, we've got access to Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon, get a hit for neutral damage. It does honestly respectable damage there. We can now come in with Galissapod, and for some reason, they no shield. What are you doing, trainer? We can now just safely shield this up. They go for an Earth Power, meaning they're not reaching another charge move. We get the full farm down, and we can reach back-to-back charge moves here, but does Incinerate take us out? Unfortunately, it does, but we can Volt Switch farm down with the Magnezone, and we're still able to take that game. So, going into next battle, Metagross in the lead. The entire team does actually fairly well into Metagross, especially if they are on Bullet Punch. I know Shadow Claw did get added like last season during its Mega Raid Day, but of course it is a legacy fast move, so maybe people don't want to use Elite TMs on them. But anyways, we're able to catch a Moonblast, but they still end up getting a debuff to our attack stat anyways, which is really unfortunate. This is going to be a Chilling Water. That is guaranteed to debuff our attack stat there, so can't really have too many complaints there. But either way, we farm up to back-to-back wild charges. They shield the first. They're going to need to shield both of these if they want to maintain alignment, and the opponent is actually going to double shield. At this point, we definitely just take a 2-shield advantage. Going to come in with the Volcarona. Unfortunately, not going to be able to fire spin farm them all the way down before they reach another Chilling Water, and it is super effective, so we are going to use a shield. At this point, we go for a full farm down. They come in with a Gyarados, but we are on Solar Beam. Now, remember, we have been debuffed here, but Solar Beam still does respectable damage, and that's the only neutral move we have across the entirety of the team remaining. The opponent going to come in with Metagross. They've clearly just given up at this point. Trainer, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but there is actually a button on the top left of your screen if you want to give up here. Instead of wasting our time, I'm actually just going to cut the battle here after we get the Fury Cutter farm down. It is a comfortable win in the end, but anyways, let's just skip to the next one. I'm going to see a Metagross in the lead once again. Again, they are on Bullet Punch. I don't really know what elo these battles are at, as of course, they're all just at rank 20. But either way, we're going to go for an Aqua Jet. We do resist all the charge moves unless they run Psychic, which would be very strange. So we're going to no-shield there. They swap. They make a really nice catch there, catching onto Primarina. But we're now going to swap into our Magnet Zone. This is a really nice matchup for us. They will reach a Hydro Cannon because they did sneak that Charm through. But either way, we're actually just happy to tank it, go for a full Volt Switch farm down, and the opponent once again going to come in with a Garchomp, but we are running Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon does big damage there. The opponent will not be able to commit to a farm down before we reach another Flash Cannon, so at this point, they are going to throw. They go for Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe does just narrowly get the KO from that range, but now we can come in with Golisopod and go straight for an Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet is going to grab the first shield from the opponent, but that's fine with us. We've got Volcarona here. We can probably shield this. Nope, never mind. We are going to call a Breaking Swipe bait, which it is. At this point, we do kind of need to shield this one, though, even though it is going to be another Breaking Swipe. But we can now go for a really aggressive Fire Spin farm down. And we're actually going to bait with a Bug Buzz here. Of course, we've already been double debuffed in our attack stats. I guess the opponent just no shields. Anyways, we still get the KO, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, we're going to see another Gyarados in the lead. So once again, really tricky lead matchup for us. Just going to play out the lead matchup here in the zero shield scenario. If we can get a shield advantage, that would be amazing, but I really can't see that happening. At this point, we are just going to no shield the first charge move here, as the opponent is going to bait with an Aqua Tail. That's fine with us. We can now go for a charge move here. It's going to be a CMP tire, which we lose. This could be the crunch this time, and it is, but we do end up living it. At this point, going to go for Aqua Jet number 2. Aqua Jet is going to, of course, connect, but because they actually baited with an Aqua Tail, they get a really aggressive Dragon Breath farm down, and even might be able to reach back-to-back Aqua Tails into our Magnet Zone. Nope, never mind, they're still not able to do that. But either way, we get the Volt Switch farm down there, and let's see what they want to do. They're going to come in with a Metagross. Absolutely fine with us. We can go straight for Wild Charge. Again, they're on Bullet Punch, so that is double resisted damage there with the fast moves. We then swap into Volcarona, and the opponent's going to have a Togekiss in the back, but they're on Charm, which is so much better for us. Instead of Peck dealing super effective, Charm is resisted. They no shield. They do not respect the overheat damage. And at this point, Volcarona is just in a prime position to sweep this game. They are going to reach back-to-back charge moves here, so I guess we will need to swap out. We can still no shield that, though. That, of course, is resisted damage. We're going to bait with a Bug Buzz. I don't really agree with this because it doesn't really matter at this point if we're going to swap out. But either way, we're going to come in with the Magnet Zone, go for the Wild Charge. Wild Charge, when it does eventually connect here up against the Metagross, we'll be getting the KO, and we're able to take that game. So, going into the next battle, Primarina in the lead. So, a bit of an awkward matchup for us, but assuming they're not on Waterfall, we can swap out into a Volcarona, resisting the fast food damage, and they actually come in with a Shadow Excadrill. which is actually a great matchup for us. Of course, Extra Drill into most fire types is going to have a decent matchup because it can at least hit for super effective damage back with its Mud Slaps, but we are going to take neutral damage here as the bug typing does typically resist the ground typing. Now, unfortunately, no Solar Beam this time around, but Bug Buzz still does respectable damage there. We're actually going to pivot straight away into Magnezone, realizing it has great play into both the Gyarados and the Primarina, so there's no point staying in there, allowing the full farm down. We're actually going to go for a Flash Cannon here just to make sure we don't debuff our defense stats, because now they can come in with the Gyarados, they can throw whatever. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a Hydro Pump, so Crunch is going to connect. It does decent damage, but the opponent recognizing there's nothing they can do, so they just concede the match. Now going into the next battle, we're going to see a Florges in the lead, so we are going to stay in this matchup. We are going to go straight for an Aqua Jet, and it looks like we win CMP in this matchup. Either that or they just, yeah, okay, we do win CMP. We are going to probably no-shield this. They are running Trailblaze, which is interesting. However, that's still fine with us. Trailblaze not going to do that much damage the first time around. Going to do marginally more damage this time, but we should still be able to tank this relatively comfortably. Now, unfortunately, I don't think we can fully Fury Cutter farm them down here, but we're going to bank the energy and swap into Magnezone. Now, I don't know about that play. I think we could have maybe swapped out slightly sooner than that, because then we could have got a Volt Switch in as we swapped out there. But either way, doesn't matter too much. We go for Wild Charge, we grab a shield, and the opponent not committing to the counter farm down. That is huge for us. We've now grabbed the shield advantage. Remember, we do have an Aqua Jet on our Golisopod. Maybe could have come in, gone for the Aqua Jet, either grab the final shield or got them into range where we can go for a Fire Spin farm down. But now we're actually going to bait with a Bug Buzz. This is double resistant, and they actually don't end up shielding. That is not ideal for us, but we're now going to come back in with Golisopod, snipe with the Aqua Jet, and their final Pokemon is going to be Metagross. So even though, of course, we did bait with a Bug Buzz, and it wasn't ideal for us, I think we should still be fine here. We are going to shield the first charge move, as the opponent is going to go for Meteor Mash, and at this point, we are going to go for a full Fire Spin farm down. Nope, never mind, they swapped out and tried to make a catch there. We're going to go for a Bug Buzz. Bug Buzz, going to grab the shield, but we actually don't reach another charge move. So actually there, going for Bug Buzz probably didn't make a difference anyways. We wouldn't have reached back-to-back overheats, and unfortunately, we ended up losing to a Metagross despite being pretty good into it. But into next battle, speaking of Metagross, we're going to see it here in the lead. Now, I'm going to go straight for an Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet is not really going to deal that much damage, but a second one will put them into Fury Cutter farm down range. And again, we can resist the charge moves here, so they swap into Gyarados. We can hard punish with the Magnezone. The opponent going to fire off an Aqua Tail here, most likely. Nope, never mind. A Crunch. It drops our defense, and unfortunately, we don't quite get the full farm down. Now, Aqua Tail still not enough damage to KO, and we can come out with, it looks like, back-to-back Wild Charges, but Machamp is their final Pokemon, meaning we only get off one charge move here. We do grab the final shield, and now we can go for an Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet is going to connect. Sorry, that was the first shield, not the final shield. And this one, we probably just save both shields for our Volcarona. Nope, never mind. I'm making all the wrong predictions and calls here. Either way, it doesn't really matter. We go for Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet does now grab the final shield. We can come in with the Volcarona. We do have to be wary of Rock Slide or potentially Stone Edge from that Machamp, but we don't need to shield into the Metagross. We actually don't really overfarm there at all. Doesn't really matter, I guess, as now we can shield once. It doesn't matter if they've got back-to-back Rock Slides. The Fire Spin gets the KO, and we're able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Now, if you want to take your support to the next level, you can become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments of every video. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has become a channel member already. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.